Good afternoon. I've just finished running through a book called Comeuppance Served Cold by Marion. The story is set in Prohibition era Seattle in a version of our world where magic is both widely known, used, and integrated into society. There are a number of mainish characters, so some of the important ones. Dolly White was recently hired by Mr. Earnshaw, who is the head of a very wealthy and well-known magical family, to act as a lady's companion for his daughter Fiona, because Fiona has an engagement coming up, but has been involved in a lot of not very respectable behavior lately, such as indulging in a kind of magical drug called Shimmer Shim and going to like clubs to drink and things like that. So he's concerned that she might cause some type of scandal before the wedding actually goes through. But there's also a lot of snobbery and prejudice around like keeping hold of like magical pedigrees and images. So this is another part of his major concern. You have a woman called Violet who now runs a speakeasy, although her major part in this story is actually that her husband was murdered a couple years ago and the Earnshaw family appears to be responsible and she's looking for some way to get back at them. Then we have her younger brother Philippe, who is a cougar shapeshifter. And this is something area of great concern for her, since for some reason the sentiment against shapeshifters has been getting increasingly bad in the city, to the point where there's been a lot of attacks on were-creatures, like werewolves more than others, but just were-creatures in general. So I don't really have a lot of strong feelings about this story either way. I think I might not be particularly fond of this time period, but there were a lot of things going on, and I think it touched on concepts that I found interesting. For instance, like there's Philippe's boyfriend who's a blind tattoo artist, and he has a set of enchanted tattoo needles that apparently have a really long history where the people who use it have to make a bargain with the needles, and the needles often take something from you that you value in exchange for being able to use them. Then you have Dolly, who I consider to be like the main character of this story, where she was actually one of those children that spent time with the Fae when she was younger, and in this world the Fae, for the people that they take away, often will give them a gift, but they also take something away in exchange. So these things were really interesting to me, but unfortunately the story, they weren't integral to the story, so there wasn't a lot of expanding on these parts of the narrative. As far as the plot goes, it's more of one of those, pretty typical stories where you have a group of people working together eventually to take down a really influential, wealthy, super prejudiced family that have been using their influence to commit crimes and do things for their own self-interest. So it's basically that kind of story.